Have a good night.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Town of Waukesha Town Board Meeting for April 23rd, 2015, beginning at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, have we met the requirements of the open meetings law?
Yes, we have.
And we can begin then with citizens' comments.
Do we want to do roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss roll call?
Supervisor Dirk?
Here.
Supervisor Fisher?
Here.
Chairman Merrick?
Present.
Supervisor Radke?
Here.
Supervisor Wolf?
Here.
Thank you.
And we can begin with citizens' comments. Anybody?
Janet Glade, South 31 West 26111 Sunset Drive. I had to get up and say something about this notice at the end of the agenda. I'm assuming that being in a quorum is against the law. So it's all right if you tell people you're going to go against the law. Does that make it any different? If you're in a quorum, you're in a quorum. So whether you tell us about it or not, doesn't change the fact that it's against the law, gentlemen.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Then we can move on to approval of the minutes from April 9, 2015.
I'll make the motion. We approve the minutes from April 9th, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
And I'd say we'll wait for Supervisor Durr for a minute. No problem. We got a motion and a second for the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 6, Clerk Treasurer's Report.
In March and April, we had our software upgrade. We've changed our office from 2003 to 2013 because the new machines wouldn't take the 2003 any longer, and they don't support them. We have a new vendor and purchase order policy that's been distributed to the department. We've put in 2 CDGB grants, one for 2015 and 2016. We've already received word that the 2016 has not been granted. We started working on reorganizing the files and cleaning up the office, and we're doing that as time permits. We've had some public records requests, and these are from March, April timeframe. It's Angie Van Sock requested documents pertaining to driveways placed in wetlands and documentation for the petitioner for the mother-in-law suite. Ryan Licht, copy of the 2015 budget detail. Sandy Hom, Thoth bills from 2014 and through February 2015. The Freeman SVRS information. Sandy Hom SVRS information. Gerald DeLappa as a complaint information. Gary Kohlenberg, request for Board of Review information. Sandy Hom, December 14th meeting video. Sandy Hom, April 9th meeting video. There's no outstanding open records at this time. We have 13 properties that are in non-compliant. 2 have become compliant. 1 is working on a raise permit. 2 are working on with the building inspector to get compliant. 5 properties have been served with citations. 1 is in their first extension. 1 is in their first 30 days. And 1 has requested to be on the April 14th meeting for a request to request an extension.
Thank you. Any questions for the clerk?
Is there any status on the town hall remodel that we discussed a couple meetings ago?
I have no status at this time. I hope to bring it forward in May.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody else? We can move on. New business. 7A, discussion and possible action on the following. Anita Ransom Kukler appealing professional chargeback fees. And I see Ms. Kukler in the audience. Good evening.
Good evening.
This stems from professional fees from both the planner and the attorney regarding division or lot line moves for 2 properties that Ms. Kukler owns.
Well, here's what I have to say. I taught school in this county for 17 years, and I have a sterling record of honesty. So anything I say to you today is straight from the heart, and it's honest. And this is what I want to say. I want to say that I I was never notified that there would be a charge for the attorney fee. I was never given the option to have an attorney. I was totally ignorant that the town hires an attorney and then charges the resident. The town clerk, John Merrick, and John Macy never informed me of any such procedure. Therefore, since I wasn't notified that I would be charged, I feel that I shouldn't have to pay the bill that was presented to me. And that's my plea, my appeal.
Okay.
Okay?
Questions for Ms. Kugler?
So what was the activity or what was the request or what happened that there was, that started this whole ball rolling?
Do you want me to take time for that, or am I allowed time for that?
Absolutely.
Well, that's a big hairy ball.
They usually are.
My parents bought the first farm in 1948 and the second one in about 1950. And they've been in the family all these years. And if you've ever been down the river road, it's one of the pretty properties on the river road. And it's because I spent all the money I earned on renting my land to keeping the property up. But I discovered something after a man by the name of Claude Johnson had surveyed the lot that I live on, the lot next door that I own, and the lot on the other side that's owned by John Waukesha. So I discovered by accident, upon looking at the survey map, that the pump house that is served by my house and who waters the horses on my property is on the wrong property. And the reason it didn't come to light much earlier is because I have just rented the house next door. I've had no interest in selling it. But it occurred to me that should I die, and I will eventually, that would be a real stumbling block for selling it because the pump house is on the wrong property. And so I went to Yankee and I went through all the procedures and I thought I was doing the right thing and thought everything was ready to go. I have a letter saying, go to the attorney now. It's all ready. I have a letter to that effect from Yankee. But now I find out that everything isn't okay. And so I contacted John Merrick and I said, is there anything we can do about this without, because it had a zoning, it had a number of acreage. I wasn't adding a new acreage. I wasn't adding anything. I was just changing the lines so that the pump house was on the property with my barn. That's all I wanted to do. And and in so doing, giving a little more room for the horses to graze because it wasn't done well. But anyway, now I find out that that isn't possible. I cannot change a lot line on my own property between two abutting properties.
So the original issue, just to make sure I understand it right, was that you wanted to move the property line so that the pump house and the primary residence were on the same
right.
property.
Correct. So
Okay. Okay.
And by the way, John Macy wasn't involved in this time at all.
Okay.
This came very late in the day, and I think it was probably John Merrick who brought him in on the case. But I go back to my original statement that I was not aware of any of this. So that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit more background. The two lots that the two homes are on are 3-acre lots. Land use plan says 20-acre lots. Our zoning says 5-acre lots. So
The new zoning says that.
well,
The
it's
current
the current zoning, yeah.
The
It's
current
not-
zone.
It's not new, but current, correct. So the solution is to add basically 2 acres to both of the lots, and then we could configure the lot lines in any way. Yeah.
But that presents a big problem, and it's a money problem.
Okay,
I've already paid over $2,000 to Yankee. And if I go through this again, God knows how much more it'll be. And I just don't feel I can swing it.
okay. Thank you.
All right. So, I don't know if you want me to say any more. Do you want me to answer any more questions? Can I help you in any way to decide this in my favor?
I have a couple quick questions.
Yes.
So the pump house didn't move. It still stayed in its original
The
position?
pump house, which is where the water comes from my house, it goes to the pump house, and the pump house furnishes water to the horses, which are on my property.
But you didn't move the pump house at all?
Oh,
It still was in
no.
the same position?
It's been there for years.
Because you mentioned trenching.
No, I'm sorry, I don't
Okay.
understand
Maybe
that.
I missed that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's where we're at.
So are you still trying to figure that out so that the pump house can be on your land?
I would love it to be on my land, but I don't know what to do.
Well, the solution is what Jamie Barczyk had suggested, which you would have to add the acreage to make the lots conforming.
Yeah, but that's out of the question
But as I understand.
financially.
She's concerned that she's not able to afford that. That's the.
No, I
concern.
can't afford that.
Okay,
And it's all my land. There's me on one side, him on the other, and around that is all my farmland. You know,
so I'll give you my input since I asked the question. And we encounter this from time to time as the board.
I have to sit down.
By all means,
All right.
please do.
Thank you.
When issues are brought to the planner or the chairman or things of that nature, you know, the chairman's not an attorney and he doesn't always have the answers. And he has to consult with the professional staff that we hire, whether it be the engineer or the planner or the assessor or the attorney. And our ordinances call for, when he's discussing with our professional staff regarding a specific issue, that be charged to that specific resident. And the reason for that is because certainly I think you can appreciate that there's no attorney or engineer or planner who's going to do anything for free. And so the reality is that when we consult with professional staff, the town gets billed. So they're going to get paid one way or the other. So now the question becomes is, you know, do you pay that cost or do we all pay that cost? And the way the ordinance calls for, when the chairman or another supervisor needs that counsel or advice, that it's charged to the issue or the person asking the question. It's the same for developers and everything else. And I understand that you're not a developer and I'm empathetic to your issue, that you were just seeking information and you didn't know. That happens sometimes, that people aren't aware. But if we put a formal policy in place of notice, that creates other legal problems for the town. So that's where we're at. The reality is that the professional staff is going to get paid one way or the other. The question really before the board is not so much do we refund your money. The question before the board is do you pay for it or do we all pay for it? So that I just wanted to explain that.
Well, I can't be,
That's okay, we can hear you.
I can't be too sympathetic with wherever the money comes from because I wasn't told. I think if somebody had said to me now, Anita, if you want to pursue this, thank you. Okay. Anita, if you want to pursue this, then we will have to bring an attorney in on that and it will cost so many dollars. That's all I'm saying.
I've got a procedural question, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Did we, I know on some of these things we have, when we're anticipating that we're going to have incur expenses from the planner or the attorney, ask the person who's going to be the recipient of those services to sign an agreement. Was that done in this instance or not?
Not in this instance because it was kind of came in through the back door. John Macy got involved I believe it was at a fundraiser that you were at with them. And then he ended up calling me, and then we ended up over at your home. So it kind of came in through the back
I wrote him a
door.
letter,
Wrote him a letter.
same what a
perhaps.
jam I was in.
Okay.
I know
So
John
In this case,
Macy.
no.
So you wrote John Macy a letter?
I didn't tell him I'm gonna hire him, I just
No,
said.
no, I understand, but you,
I knew him, and John Merrick had mentioned his name,
okay.
so I also appealed to John Merrick. I appealed to John Macy, to John Merrick, to Yankee and Yankee, everybody I could think to appeal to.
Question? I guess then what we need to do, I know we have the document that you were talking about, that if it's a new development, they sign for it. So they know upfront what the legal fees, and I think if in this situation, we're gonna have to do another document so that people are aware that right up in front, that there's gonna be a fee. By the sounds of it, she didn't realize there was gonna be a fee with it. I don't know how you can charge a citizen when they didn't realize there was gonna be a fee for it. I don't wanna be paying for everybody's legal fees either, but if this is the case, then we need to get a document that when somebody comes in with a complaint or a situation, they sign on the line and they're aware that they're gonna be charged legal fees or professional fees.
In this instance, I'm generally inclined to agree with Supervisor Wolf.
We do have a document that our people that come in to they want to come in and see the planner. We do have them sign it, usually if they're going farther than that first meeting. In the past, the understanding was that we didn't need everyone to sign it, and we have changed that policy since the last waiver came through, that everyone is notified immediately, even on their free consultation, that they need to sign this, because if we need to go further, that they need to understand the fees are going to be sent to them.
Okay, so then was that done with this case or no?
But this was prior to this case.
Oh, okay.
What's the total dollar amount that we're looking at?
$480.
Kathy, what you're saying then is now we've got a document that everybody signs
That's
one
correct.
way or another?
That's correct. Even if they are only doing the first 30 minutes with the planner, we're having them sign it anyways.
Well, let's clarify that. That wouldn't have happened in this case because Ms. Kukler didn't come in through the planner. She came in through the attorney.
Question for you, and Ms. Kugler, don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you think any, and I understand the situation, and do you think any of the services that you got from the planner or the town attorney, are those of any value to you?
Well, I did send in one check. I see that you have me billed for a planning fee, a past due, and then a planning fee. I did send in one check.
This is to the town attorney?
No,
To the town.
a planning fee
So you sent that to the town or to the
Yes.
planner?
to the town.
To the town.
Okay,
She's paid her past due.
okay. And that's the $58 fee? Okay. So back to that clarification, it's 480 less 58, is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, do you think anything beyond the $58 that you paid, were any of the services of value to you?
No. They just aggravated the whole situation.
Okay. To move this ahead, I will make a motion to waive the outstanding balance, if my math is correct, of $422, and I so move.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Nay?
Well, then I thank you all.
Thank you. On to 7B, transient merchant license for Jameson. I hope I get it right, Sturkin. Thank you.
May I hand out some flyers to help you get an idea what we're all about?
That'd be great.
Yeah, one, yeah, that might be a copy. That's actually the inside.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. We are Kona Ice. Kona Ice is a national franchise, and we sell premium shaved ice. If you can see our colorful, cool truck, we appeal to the kids and mostly kids, but people of all ages. Kona Ice, like I said, is a national franchise. There's over 600 trucks across 45 states and 3 different countries. The corporate headquarters is out of Florence, Kentucky. We are Kona Ice of Lake Country. My wife and I, my wife Jamie, and my kids, we run. This is our dream to have our own business, and we fell in love with this franchise and thought we'd bring it to Wisconsin because no one really has heard of the product of shaved ice that much around here. We are out of Oconomowoc, and like I said, we've been operational for about a year, and this year we purchased a second truck and are expanding into the Waukesha area. So we want to kind of expand the fun of Kona Ice. The big part that we fell in love with this franchise is our give back program. Nationwide, since Kona Ice has been around for the last 5 years, they've given back over $25 million to nonprofit organizations. And so what we do is we go and we sell at charitable events for schools, youth, do a lot of youth sports. And what we do is we give a percentage of our sales back at the end. And we've been operating for about a year, and we've given back about $15,000 in the last year. We're very proud of that. It's a party on wheels, really, for kids. We play Caribbean like calypso music. It's a professional wrapped truck. It's interactive for the kids. The kids get the flavor of their own on the side of the truck, so they really like it. It's really a good time for the kids. Something fun and clean. You know, we're a professional business, a professional franchise. Parents don't have to be afraid of whose truck the kids are running up to. We're a sponsor this year at the Five Diamonds Baseball Club right down the road here. We've been working with them. We'll be on one of their scoreboards, and we're going to be there pretty much all their baseball, softball tournaments, and some of the games during the week. What we're asking of the town is we'd like the opportunity to, also a small part of business is doing neighborhoods like the Old Time Ice Cream Truck. So that's what we would be doing in the town, or we might find nonprofit organizations that want us to be there and fundraise for them, whether it's a church festival or a town festival. And we also do birthday parties, private parties, corporate parties, team building events, stuff like that. So that could be in the town as well. So we're asking you for your permission to sell in your town and give back, to the youth events and nonprofit organizations. So is there any questions? If you open up that pamphlet, you can see all the different types of things we do. You can see a little picture of the product. Let's see.
Anybody have any questions for Jameson?
I got a question, or maybe it goes to the clerk, and maybe this is in our information, but I'm looking, is this, I see, I guess the reference to this expires at the end of the calendar year, does it? Is that
That's
correct?
At the end of the year.
So, and that's your understanding, it would be for this year and
Yes.
then it expires?
Yes, for
Okay.
2015, and then next year we would come back again, whether we have to just renew it. Some towns, we work with a lot of different townships and cities and municipalities. Everyone's a little bit different. It all depends on when we come back, if I have to present again, that's great. If I just have to renew the permit, whatever, your rules are.
And just for informational purposes, generally, if this are granted, when about would you start and how long would your season last if there's such a thing?
Well, our season actually is starting this weekend. And our outdoor season normally goes up to into October. And we do in October timeframe, September and October, we do a lot of football, a lot of youth football, high school football. And then once it gets too cold, obviously we're selling the ice in Wisconsin. Okay. And we have an indoor unit. It's a miniature version of the truck, and it can go indoors. And last winter, we did a lot of youth basketball, youth wrestling, a lot of school dances, and the kids just love it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the transient merchant license for Jameson and Jamie Sturkin.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jameson, so I'll have your, next week, I'll have your form ready for you and your wife.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
On to C, transient merchant license for Colin C. Giantasanio. Giannatasio? I apologize.
Not a problem, no one gets it right.
Why don't you tell us what you're selling?
Well, similar to Jameson, I'm going to be operating a truck this year. I'm not the owner. The owner is Brian and Beth Fisher along with Rodney. They're located down in Racine. It's Klondike Distribution. I was a seller for them last year as a conventional ice cream truck. We go around the neighborhoods selling ice cream. Last year, I got approved for several permits in different counties, but this is the first time I'm going to be selling in Waukesha. So really what I'm looking for is to be approved for a merchant license so I can legally carry out selling for them. Like I said, I'm not the owner, but right now I'm representing them through Klondike Distribution.
Where were you last year? Where were you selling last year?
Big Bend and Muskego.
Okay.
In the city of, or the town of Vernon as well.
When you applied last year, was the permit and the application made under your name?
Yes, under my name.
Not here in Waukesha, though.
No,
No.
I was asking about the other communities.
I didn't apply in Waukesha last year, but I worked with several people that had their permits for Waukesha.
I guess I need a little bit of clarification about that. And Kathy, maybe you can kind of help out on us, but I see these applications and I see names and then I see additional applicants and so forth. Is what, if we look at these and approve them, then we are approving the individuals.
You're just approving Colin. When the application is put together, if, just like Jameson had his wife on
I
as an
understand
additional. So if he brought in an additional person, they would have to get a license as well, and so they'd have to come forward.
And I guess my question is, do you understand that your request before us is for you and for you only?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Colin, in the other communities that you served last year, did you reapply for them again, Big Bend and so forth?
Not this year. We have other drivers going out there. I actually live in Waukesha, so it'd be more convenient and more realistic for me to be selling in Waukesha. I know the area a lot better as well.
Okay.
In your criminal background check, there were a number of issues from 2013 that came up. Would you like to address or comment on any of those?
There have been no further issues. I've really turned everything around. None of them are too severe or anything, but I'm on the right track right now. One of the reasons why I'm actually continuing to sell this year is because by the end of the year or by next year, I hope to be an entrepreneur by myself and own my own company. But to create the startup revenue for that, I'm going to be selling for Rodney and Brian again this year.
Okay, thank you.
Have any other communities ever denied
No,
a
sir.
transient license? Okay,
I've always been approved.
okay. Further questions for Colin?
When did you plan to start selling?
The Klondike distribution is hoping to have our trucks hit the roads by May 1st. If it takes a little bit longer to get approved, or if anything comes up, then naturally we'll wait. But hopefully we'd like to run from May 1st to about mid-October if possible. Like Jameson brought up, being in Wisconsin, selling ice cream creates a shorter selling season. But by May 1st, I'd like to be selling if at all possible.
Okay. I guess I'd like to make a motion to table this to a date certain of our next board meeting, May 14th.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What that means is we're going to table this and take it up at the next regular meeting of the town board, which will be on May 14th.
Okay,
So it'd be good for you to be present at that also.
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
On to D, election equipment and intergovernmental government agreement. I was informed today that Attorney Macy has a meeting set up with Corporation Counsel for Waukesha County regarding this issue. And it's probably beneficial if we have a short discussion about it today and table it until after that meeting. And I'd let Clerk Nicholas explain what exactly this is about.
Okay, in 2006 and 2011, the town had purchased election equipment. In 2006, the Help America Vote Act required us to go to a ADA piece of equipment, and we did that. We have 4 pieces of equipment, 2 ADA and 2 pieces of optical scan. That's the one that you put your ballots in. The county would like us to have everybody in the county on the same system. It's a great idea. That's what we always would have liked since 2006. Since September 2014, there was no equipment available that would allow us to modem in. There is now a piece of equipment available, and the county has offered to purchase pay for 2/3 of that equipment. What that equipment will do is it'll allow at the polling sites to send their results by modem instead of us entering them in, which reduces our possible human error. As Chairman Merrick mentioned, our attorney's been working with other attorneys in the county and is going to be meeting with Corp Counsel. He's also working on a resolution. And I think that I agree that tabling it might be helpful.
Before we do that, I see Clerk Novak in the audience. Is there anything you want to add? Would you like to address?
No, I just wanted to be here in case there were any questions that came up for the county.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Clerk Novak? Is there a motion?
Well, I'll make the motion that we table it till next board meeting.
Yes. Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to E, operator's license changes in the length of the license and the fees. And Clerk Nicholas, take it away.
All right. After discussion with many of my peers, I noticed that our operators' licenses were set up as a 2-year, a biannual, and our fees are currently at $40.
Getting close.
So currently, we're at a 2-year term. We have a background check that's done once every 2 years, and the cost is $40. I'm suggesting we go to a one-year operator's license. That'll allow us to do a background check each year, which is suggested, and increase the fee to, well, it would be a decrease of the fee to $30 from $40, but it'll be a 1 year. This will help in a couple ways. I mentioned the background check. If we did a background check on one of our licenses holders currently, and we found an issue, there's no way we can take that license back. So, because they have it in their hand. The other thing is, if you noticed when we did our budget in 2014, our budget amount for revenue for licenses was much higher than 2013 versus 2014's. And this will level that out. So we'll be able to tell exactly who's in our jurisdiction with a license. I took all of the licenses to a 1 year. The cost of a license, average cost of a 1 year license throughout the county is $29.88, and the cost of doing the work in our office comes to $30. We have a $7 license or a background check fee, plus then the amount of time that it takes the deputy clerk to put together the license, bring it out here and discuss it with you, and then create the license.
Thank you.
Question, please, I understand, thank you for your work, understand what you're trying to accomplish and support this. Is this a simple board action, or is this incorporated into our ordinance? Is there anything in any way, or what does it take to affect this?
This is part of our miscellaneous fees for operators. So it would be, once we renew this, we would update that as well.
Okay.
But we do have a time frame. Licenses are due out by June 1st. They need to apply, and before I send out notices to everyone that they need to renew, I'd like to make sure we have something in the packet that's solid.
Questions for the clerk? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move our operator license from a 2 year $40 fee to a 1 year $30 fee.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to appointments. Beginning with appointment to the Plan Commission. These are all reappointments. Ken Miller for a 1 year term. Al White reappointed for a 3 year term. And Bob Flanagan, who's got to be on there for, I wish he could tell. I wish he was here so he could tell us. Got to be bumping into 4 decades for an additional 3 year term. Brian Fisher will be reappointed as the board member on the Plan Commission for an additional 2 year term. Alternates for the Board of Review. We've got, I saw Kurt Bauer in the audience. Good evening, Kurt. Kurt is going to be replacing Walter Kolb, who passed away this last year. And Brian Webb is also on that, and he is being reappointed. Those are both 3 year terms. Thank you. Board of Appeals, Rich Zimmer is here with us tonight, and he is also going to replace, fill out the remainder of Walter Kolb's term, and that ends on 4/30/16, at which point we'll have to deal with reappointments to that again. And I did not see Doug Campbell in the audience, but Doug Campbell is on our Fire Commission, and that is a 5 year term, and he is also being reappointing to that. Matt Gans has been our weed commissioner for the last year, and he has agreed to be reappointed to that and serve on that for another one-year term. And I see I just went out of order. And that's it for appointments. So thank both of you for stepping up to do that. On to 8, current business and discuss possible action on request to install the water main on East Broadway in the town of Waukesha right away. I had some conversations with the water department and the executive members of the city. What they have agreed to at this point is to allow the residents in the town of Waukesha in that area to hook up to water. They have not agreed to sewer. Here's what we have really 3 choices: to send it back and send me back and ask them for whatever else the board would authorize, say no in its entirety, or accept what they have offered up to this point.
Question, can you define any further in that area? I mean, did it get to specifics of conversation? At least to me, I mean, in that area could mean west of or inside of the 59-164 West Paul Parkway bypass, east of Porter, north of Ellis, or south of Ellis, which is in the city, and north of Racine, and including a couple of properties on Racine on the south side. Those boundaries would encompass all of an area of the town that's largely an island. Does that fit the definition of in the area, or is there something else that was under discussion?
No, what they have offered is just along Broadway.
So properties on Broadway only and nothing else?
Correct. In the area of the jurisdiction where we would be offering that up.
Okay. I mean, I'll let others speak. I guess I would think that the good intergovernmental agreement would include something more in terms of size and scope, and consider serious discussion about sanitary sewer services as well. That's my preliminary thought.
Would you then suggest the area that you just described? And to make it easier, just say that town island?
I would.
Okay.
I guess just going a step further, there is a precedent for this type of thing. There's a significant town island north of Town Hall here, up towards Sunset. I don't know the exact history, didn't research that, but that goes back to the 1980s. There was an intergovernmental agreement struck between the city and the town at that point in time. My feeling about that is this is an excellent time to try to usher in a new era of intergovernmental cooperation between the town and the city. The city has got something that they would like for the water utility to run that. I believe is it a 12-inch water main through there to connect their system, so it's looped so they don't have dead ends. I think it's reasonable for us to consider entering into an agreement to allow them to do it. But I think the town also has reasonable needs and expectations, and that's to allow people in that area that I defined to have access to municipal sewer and municipal water without a requirement of annexation to the city. There's precedent, it's reasonable. I think that's intergovernmental cooperation, and that would be the direction that I think we want to continue with this discussion, and I appreciate the fact that you started it.
I would agree with Supervisor Fisher. I think it should be extended to the entire island as well as the sewer portion of it.
So is that the direction you'd like to give me? Go back and chat with those folks with that directive? Okay. I don't think we need to take any action on that. I think it's just,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add one other thing, and that's simply to acknowledge in the area that I define, I reside in that area and I own a business property. That said, I don't consider this to be any kind of a conflict at all because it's a principle. For me, I think it's a general principle. It's a discussion. I think it's intergovernmental cooperation. And I'll clearly tell you for my selfish purposes, if one could describe it as such, I have no interest with my business property or my residential property, no interest or need whatsoever for municipal water, or municipal sewer at this point in time. No need, no desire whatsoever. But for me, this is about trying to protect and preserve options for town residents for the future, so we can maintain those properties in the town of Waukesha and not lose them to the city by annexation.
thank you. There's nothing further. We can move on to 8B. Jurisdictional transfer agreement for East Sunset Drive. This is the portion of Sunset Drive that the town still retains jurisdiction over, and primarily towards the Myers development. Supervisor Durr and I met with the engineering department for the city of Waukesha that's handling the redesign of Sunset earlier this week, and came away with a great deal more information, and Supervisor Durr is putting together a packet and presentation for us, and would like to table this to the next meeting until he has time to put that all together, correct?
That's my motion.
I'll second the motion to table.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to 9, accounts payable, authorization of payment of the bills in the grand total amount of $58,909.04.
Make a motion that we pay the bills in that amount.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you for coming.
7:18.